Hello, class! Today we're going to start an author study of Beatrix Potter. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Beatrix Potter wrote many tales, and the most famous one that you've probably heard of is the tale of Peter Rabbit. Now, I have this book that tells a little bit about her, and I wanted to read to you a little bit about her childhood and how she grew up and what led her to become an author. So, this is a Beatrix Pottery treasury. So that means there's many tales that she wrote all together in this book. At the beginning it says, the story of Beatrix Potter. So you can see there's a picture of her when she was a little girl with her parents. It says that Beatrix Potter was born in 1866 to Rupert and Helen Potter. So those are her parents again, Rupert and Helen, and Beatrix is in the middle. She had a little brother, and they grew up together. Now, her parents didn't really like her to go play with other children, so her childhood was a little bit lonely. She ended up spending most of her time playing with her little brother and then playing outside. They loved playing outdoors, and they would have all kinds of pets that they just got from outside. At one point, it says in their nursery or in their room, they had a green frog, 2 lizards, some water newts, a snake, and a rabbit, all of which were carefully studied by the children. So Beatrix loved to draw and paint as well. So she would do nature studies just like we do in our nature journals. She would paint and draw these animals that they were studying that they had just found for fun. Now, she actually had a pet rabbit named Peter. So Peter Rabbit, the story, was based on the real Peter Rabbit. Here's a picture of him that she drew when she was a little girl. And when she grew up, she decided to start drawing and selling her art. And she sold it first as greeting cards. So like a pretty birthday card or a Christmas card might have a picture of a rabbit or an animal that she had drawn. Here's one. It's a Christmas card that was published. It says, "A Happy Christmas." And there's a little rabbit. Now, later on, she decided to start writing stories. Now, the tale of Peter Rabbit came about because when she had a friend, and her friend's son was sick in bed, and he was really sad. So she decided to write him a picture letter. So in the letter, she drew pictures of Peter Rabbit. This is the little boy, Noel, that she was writing to when he was sick. And so she wrote this letter to him, and here's the pictures of it. It says, "My dear Noel, I don't know what to write to you, so I will tell you a story about 4 little rabbits whose names are Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter." And then she drew him pictures and wrote the story of Peter Rabbit and sent it to little Noel to cheer him up. Now he loved it, and later on, Beatrix decided I could make a book out of that. And she wrote back to her friend and her son Noel, and asked if she could have the letter back so she could see the pictures again. And then eventually she published it, and it became The Tale of Peter Rabbit, which we have today. And we have it with color pictures. Now, she liked to paint using watercolor paints. So it's really amazing how much detail are in her paintings, because you know, and I know, we've painted with watercolor before. It can be hard to control. Sometimes the water goes everywhere, so you really have to make sure your paintbrush is not too wet, and that way you can control it. But that's an illustration that she painted. All of her books, all of the illustrations she drew and painted, and then she also wrote the stories that went along with them. So I think you're really going to enjoy this week when we study or probably the next 2 weeks that we study Beatrix Potter and her fun stories. As she became more successful selling her stories, she did different things. She was very creative. She made a Peter Rabbit stuffed animal that she sold. And then I thought this was cool. Benjamin Bunny, the story of Benjamin Bunny, he was a real bunny that she had. Here's a picture of him. And look, he's on a little leash, just like a dog would be on a leash. So that's really fun. And then later on, Beatrix got married, and they moved to the Lake District, which was it's still a beautiful area in England where there's fields and lakes and lots of nature. And they lived on a farm, and she became a farmer's wife. She got really into raising sheep, and they raised a special breed of sheep. Let's see if I can find the picture. Well, I don't have it in the book, but I'll send you a picture. A special breed of sheep that they lived up there in the Lake District. Then they also, when she was living at Hilltop Farm, she wrote more stories that were inspired by all the animals that she would have seen living in the Lake District. And even the people in the community she put into some of her stories. So we'll talk about that this week as we read her stories. So she never got tired of painting and writing. She just loved it, and she loved being in nature. Now, so these are all paintings she did. One of the really neat things that Beatrix did before she died, she donated all of the land that she had bought in the Lake District to the country of England to become national parks. So that way, the beautiful land up there wouldn't get developed by just houses and roads, but that it could be trails and just places in nature for people to go explore, just like she had when she was a little girl. So I hope you enjoy this week. We're going to have a lot of fun. And again, it's Beatrix Potter. And some of the stories we're going to read this week are The Tale of Peter Rabbit, The Tale of Benjamin Bunny, The Tale of the Flopsy Bunnies. I think it's going to be great. You'll love it. So we'll read some more soon. Bye, guys.